Planning to retire in Los Angeles? Here's one thing you need to know from a native Angelino. As I've said in other videos in this series, I know I sound a bit ridiculous thinking people will come to LA to retire, a city with a reputation for having an excessive cost of living, earthquakes, and fires. It's counterintuitive for us to even be talking, but not so fast. People really do regularly flock here every year, at every age, and at every level of income. As for my credentials, I'm an inadvertent expert on LA and comparing it to other cities and towns around the world. On the one hand, I was born in a hospital on Sunset Boulevard and have spent a good chunk of my life in LA. But I've also been lucky enough to have lived and worked in a lot of other places and to have traveled extensively around Europe and North America. Too many places, jobs, cities, towns, trains, transatlantic boats, and planes to name. When I started my work and family life, I ended up doing it overseas as a civilian. I wasn't on the fringes as a vacationer or tourist, although that would have been just fine. But because I was enmeshed in the culture, I really participated in the places I lived as an employee, a parent, a neighbor, a medical patient, a hair salon client, a grocery shopper, and a tenant, to name just a few of my roles while I was living my young life overseas. I guess you could say I was an expat, although not really because I didn't expatriate. I was simply living and working overseas on the front end of my working life instead of as a retiree, a stranger in many unfamiliar places. It wasn't lofty, it was average young life. And that's my point. Most retirees are not lofty. They're looking for a comfortable, normal life in their second youth, likely on a fixed income. My long through line of a life and career includes decades in LA that I can compare to a bunch of other places. And here's an observation from a well-traveled LA native for any would-be Angelino. A car is necessary from day one. Historically, Los Angeles has been designed for driving, even when there were fewer cars on the road. I wish I had better news, but if you want to retire in LA, don't be surprised if you have to add buying or maintaining a car to your budget. But hang on a second. As I break this down, consider these issues as you evaluate whether other cities you're considering for retirement have similar concerns. But back to LA, if you were planning on offloading your car in retirement, it's likely not going to happen if you retire in Los Angeles. I know LA's crowded freeways and boulevards are famous, and this probably doesn't seem like news, but I think people still think that with LA being such a ginormous city, there must be a way to get around without a car on a regular basis, and conveniently. Like, surely only people competing in the rat race are on that freeway, right? Wrong. We definitely have a metro system and buses galore, and all of the above are extremely accessible for individuals using mobility devices, but metaphorically, if public transit is a rainstorm, many places in the city are sitting between the raindrops, staying dry and underserved. There are lots of places in LA that a bus or a train never reaches. If you need to travel to 2 destinations in a day, public transportation may not be feasible unless one trip is to work and the other is home. And that's mostly whom you'll see on public transportation in Los Angeles. Commuters at the beginning and end of the day. Whereas in cities I've lived in around the world, public transportation was used by people headed to thousands of places for 1,000 reasons all day long. That included me. For most of the time I lived overseas, I used public transportation even after I became a parent. I did eventually have a car, but I didn't always use it or need it. In Los Angeles, if you want to run errands, search for a house or an apartment, visit the beach, attend a concert, shop for groceries, take your pet to the vet, catch a movie, or go to a mall, having a car is necessary to efficiently visit multiple locations in one day. Unfortunately, bicycles aren't a reliable option either. This is because the city is too spread out, with most pathways designed for too many millions of vehicles for there to be a robust bicycle culture. There just isn't a way for bicycles to share the road with this many cars the way bicycles have equal say in other cities. Scooters thrive in flat, narrow downtown LA where there are also metro bikes available, but just a fraction of what you'll be doing will occur in downtown. You might not see downtown for weeks or months. Or you may visit downtown for a concert or a play or some great food, but you'll be too far away from everywhere else to bike or bus or take a train to the next place. And it doesn't help that the city is kind of hilly. So anywhere you go, you are potentially going to encounter a steep hill that's not designed for pedestrians or bicyclists. In the end, the distance or desolate roads between any 2 points will get in your way. I mean, in New York City, you can wear the highest fashion to the theater and walk or catch a quick cab to a restaurant after the show. In LA, you may have to walk to a remote parking lot that leads to just a few random surface streets that take you to the freeway on-ramp. Walking is basically out, as is hopping on your bicycle in your evening wear. Ride shares can be useful if you need a designated driver, if your car won't start and you need to quickly get to a scheduled event, or if friends in various parts of the city need to get home separately after an event. However, ride shares aren't practical for regular use over extended periods in a city this size. Relying on ride shares may not always be convenient or safe, especially depending on the location where you need to wait for your ride. Furthermore, considering the frequency of rideshare usage that would be necessary, a small car payment could be cheaper. This means when you land in LA, from the minute you check into your hotel or other lodgings, you'll be essentially stranded if you don't have a car. If you want to live here, it's likely that no matter how long you hold out, and long could just be a few days or even hours, I'm not kidding, you'll fold and get a car. And while there's lots of talk brewing about how in preparation for the 2028 Olympics, LA plans to convert to being a more bicycle-friendly city, with more buses and trains added everywhere, some possibly running 24 hours a day even, that's still a ways away at the time of this recording, and there are no guarantees right now that measures implemented by then will remain after the Olympics. I'm sure some of them will survive, but we don't know yet the breadth of the plans and the sustainability of what's planned. So when you're putting together your retirement or relocation budget, a car will likely be high on the list of things you'll expect to buy or maintain, barring drastically different signals that make it clear needing a car is no longer the case. Don't count a car out, count it in.